If every immigrant packed their bags and left the UK tomorrow, the country wouldn't just feel different, it would be unrecognizable. Here's the shocker. Nearly 1 in 7 people working in the UK today was born abroad. In the NHS alone, almost a third of all doctors are immigrants. That's not just a statistic. That's the difference between getting treated in a few hours or waiting months. Without them, who would harvest our food? Who would build our homes? Who would care for our elderly parents? And it's not just about jobs. Imagine a Britain with no curry houses, no Caribbean carnivals, no international music festivals, no innovative startups founded by global talent. The ripple effect would hit every corner of daily life. Your local supermarket shelves, the price of your rent, even the speed of your broadband. This isn't a political what if, it's a reality check. And in this video, we're breaking down 10 surprising research-backed reasons why life in the UK would never be the same again. Stay with me. The last one might shock you the most. Number 1. The NHS would collapse. The National Health Service is often called the pride of Britain. But here's the truth. Without immigrants, it wouldn't just struggle, it would collapse. Let's start with the numbers. Around 30% of all NHS doctors and 15% of nurses were born overseas. That means nearly 1 in 3 doctors treating patients in UK hospitals is an immigrant. And in some specialties, like surgery or emergency medicine, the proportion is even higher. Take away those workers overnight, and you don't just have a staffing problem. You have empty hospital wards, cancelled operations, and millions of patients left waiting. Waiting for scans. Waiting for surgery. Waiting for a doctor who never comes. We've already had a taste of this. In recent years, when staff shortages hit, waiting lists ballooned to over 7 million people. That was with immigrant workers still here. Imagine the same crisis, but multiplied. It's not just hospitals either. Immigrant healthcare professionals keep GP surgeries running, drive ambulances, deliver babies, run cancer screenings, and care for people in their final days. And this isn't just about numbers. It's about experience. Many of these doctors and nurses bring specialized skills that are hard to replace quickly. You can't train a surgeon or an ICU nurse in a few weeks. If immigrants left the NHS, the consequences would be measured not just in statistics, but in lives. This is why, when people talk about immigration in purely political terms, they often forget the reality. Without immigrant healthcare workers, the NHS wouldn't just be under pressure. It would be on its knees. Number 2. Major labor shortages in key industries. Beyond the NHS, immigrants keep the wheels of countless industries turning. From the food we eat to the houses we live in, their work is woven into the UK's daily life in ways many people never see. Let's take construction. Around 14% of construction workers in the UK were born abroad. And in big cities like London, that figure is far higher. Without them, building projects would grind to a halt. New homes, schools, and roads would take months, even years, longer to complete. Then there's hospitality. From restaurants to hotels, the UK's service sector depends heavily on immigrant workers. Remove them, and you'd see shuttered businesses, longer queues, and prices climbing as employers scramble for staff. Agriculture might be hit the hardest. Around 60% of seasonal farm workers are immigrants. Without them, fruits and vegetables would rot in fields, supermarkets would face shortages, and food prices would skyrocket almost overnight. These shortages wouldn't just be an inconvenience, they'd ripple through the economy, driving inflation, slowing growth, and pushing up the cost of living for everyone. When we talk about labor shortages, it's easy to picture numbers on a spreadsheet. But in reality, it's the unfinished homes, the empty hotel lobbies, and the unpicked crops that tell the real story. Which of these industries do you think would be hit the hardest if all immigrants left the UK? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to see what you think. And if you're finding this breakdown eye-opening, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the reasons. Number 3. Economic contraction. Imagine the UK economy as a massive machine. Every gear, big or small, plays a part in keeping it moving. Immigrants aren't just one gear, they're in every gear. Take them out, and the entire system slows, then starts to break. Here's why. Immigrants contribute tens of billions of pounds in taxes every year. That money keeps hospitals running, schools open, and roads maintained. Remove that stream of revenue, and the government suddenly has less to spend. On everything. Public services shrink, infrastructure plans stall, and funding cuts become the new normal. But it doesn't stop there. Immigrants are also spenders. Rent, groceries, transport, clothes, entertainment, all feeding money back into local businesses. Without that spending power, shops sell less, restaurants serve fewer meals, and companies lay off staff to survive. And then there's the ripple effect on growth. Many industries already face worker shortages. If they can't fill roles, they produce less, export less, and innovate less. Fewer products and services mean less money flowing into the economy. And that's a vicious cycle. Economic contraction doesn't always hit with a single loud crash. Sometimes it's the slow creak of opportunity drying up. Fewer jobs, lower wages, rising prices. The absence is felt not in what you see, but in what you no longer see. Thriving high streets, busy construction sites, and the sense that the future will be better than today. Without immigrants, that vision dims, and the UK's economic engine starts to seize up. Number 4. Food supply disruption. Walk into your local supermarket on a Saturday morning. The smell of fresh bread, strawberries stacked high, bright green lettuce, perfectly crisp. Now imagine, half those shelves are empty. That's what would happen if immigrant farm workers vanished overnight. Around 60% of the UK's seasonal agricultural workforce comes from abroad. These are the people who pick fruit, harvest vegetables, and process food before it reaches your basket. Without them, crops would be left to rot in the fields. The chain reaction is instant. Farmers lose income. Suppliers can't fill orders. Supermarkets face shortages. And the prices for whatever's left? They skyrocket. We've had glimpses of this before. In 2020, when travel restrictions kept seasonal workers away, farmers in the UK reported millions of pounds in losses. Fields full of food they simply couldn't harvest in time. It's not just fresh produce. Meat processing plants, dairies, bakeries. Many rely heavily on immigrant labor to keep food flowing from farm to fork. Without those workers, the variety and affordability we take for granted would vanish. And it's not just about what's missing from the shelves, it's about what replaces it. More imports, longer supply chains, higher environmental costs. The simple act of making dinner suddenly becomes more expensive and less British. When people think about immigration, they rarely think about their dinner plate. But in reality, that plate might be the first place you notice the change. Number 5. Cultural loss. Picture a Britain without the Notting Hill Carnival. No streets alive with steel drums, vibrant costumes, and the scent of jerk chicken drifting through the air. Imagine no Diwali lights in Leicester, no Eid celebrations in Birmingham, no Chinese New Year parades in London's Chinatown. Immigrants haven't just brought their skills and labor. They've brought their traditions, their music, their food, their stories. Over decades, these influences have woven themselves into the UK's cultural fabric so deeply that removing them would leave it threadbare. Think about your own week. The curry takeaway on a Friday night, the Italian cafe that makes your morning latte, the reggae track playing in the background while you shop. None of these things are foreign anymore. They're part of everyday British life. Without immigrants, the UK risks becoming culturally monochrome. The diversity of festivals, cuisines, art, and fashion would shrink. Streets would lose their color, music would lose its rhythm, and flavors would fade from our plates. Culture isn't just about entertainment, it's about connection, moments that bring people together across backgrounds. Without those shared experiences, society can become more closed, less curious, and less willing to embrace difference. Immigration has turned Britain into a place where a single street can offer food from 5 continents, and where a school classroom can hold a dozen languages. Lose that, and you lose more than variety. You lose the richness that makes life here vibrant. Number 6. Innovation and entrepreneurship decline. Some of the UK's most exciting ideas, products, and companies wouldn't exist without immigrants. In fact, immigrants are behind 1 in every 7 UK businesses, from small corner shops to tech giants making global waves. Think of it like this: immigration doesn't just fill jobs, it creates them. Immigrant entrepreneurs bring fresh perspectives, different problem-solving approaches, and networks that span continents. That combination often leads to breakthroughs, the kind that drive industries forward and put the UK on the world stage. Without them, the pipeline of new businesses would shrink. Fewer startups means fewer jobs, less competition, and less innovation. The ripple effect is huge, from slower technological progress to missed opportunities in fields like renewable energy, AI, and biotechnology. And it's not just the big headline makers. Many immigrant-run businesses serve as the heartbeat of local communities. Grocery stores stocking hard-to-find ingredients, cafes introducing new flavors, small tech firms solving niche problems. They make neighborhoods more vibrant, resilient, and economically active. History backs this up. Some of the UK's most influential brands have immigrant roots, proving that diversity isn't just a cultural asset, it's an economic engine. Take that away, and Britain risks becoming less competitive globally. Talent will go elsewhere, investors will follow, and the UK's reputation as a hub of creativity and enterprise will fade. In short, losing immigrant innovators isn't just losing people. It's losing the future they would have built here. Number 7. Education sector strain. The UK's education system isn't just shaped by what's taught in the classroom, it's shaped by who's teaching it. Thousands of teachers, lecturers, and researchers in Britain's schools and universities were born abroad. Without them, the system would face serious gaps. In some subjects, especially maths, science, and languages, immigrant teachers are the backbone of staffing. Remove them, and schools would struggle to fill vacancies, leading to larger class sizes and fewer specialist courses. That's not just an inconvenience, it's a direct hit to the quality of education students receive. Universities would feel the loss even more. International academics play a key role in world-leading research, from developing new medicines to tackling climate change. Without their expertise, the UK's research output would shrink, its global rankings would drop, and its ability to attract funding would suffer. And it's not just the staff. International students contribute billions to the UK economy each year through tuition fees, housing, and spending. If they left, many universities, especially outside big cities, would face severe budget shortfalls, forcing cuts to courses, facilities, and even entire departments. The loss would also be cultural. Classrooms and lecture halls are richer when they're filled with perspectives from around the globe. Without that mix, British education risks becoming narrower, less innovative, and less prepared to equip students for a connected world. Education is one of the UK's greatest assets, but without immigrants, that asset would start to crumble from within. Number 8. Aging population crisis. The UK is getting older, fast. Right now, nearly 1 in 5 people is over 65, and that number is climbing every year. As people live longer, the demand for pensions, healthcare, and social care soars. But here's the problem. All of that is paid for by today's workers. Immigrants play a crucial role in keeping that balance stable. Many are young, working-age adults who pay taxes, contribute to national insurance, and help fund the services older generations rely on. Remove them, and the ratio of workers to retirees shrinks dramatically. That means fewer people paying in, and more people depending on the system. Without enough workers, the government faces hard choices: raise taxes, cut services, or increase borrowing. None of those are popular, and all of them have long-term consequences for the economy and living standards. The care sector would be hit twice over. Not only would funding fall, but the workforce itself, heavily reliant on immigrant carers, would collapse, leaving thousands of elderly people without adequate support. This isn't a problem for the distant future. It's already happening. In countries with low immigration and aging populations, like Japan and Italy, economic growth has stalled, and pension systems are under huge strain. If the UK lost its immigrant workforce, it wouldn't just face a labor shortage, it would face a demographic time bomb, ticking faster every year. Number 9. Social services gaps. Behind every statistic about immigration, there are real people doing work most of us rarely see, yet rely on every single day. Social care is one of the clearest examples. Across the UK, thousands of immigrant workers provide essential support for the elderly, people with disabilities, and vulnerable families. They are the carers who help someone get dressed in the morning, the support workers who ensure a person can live independently, the home aides who bring comfort in someone's final days. Many of these roles are physically and emotionally demanding, often for modest pay. And yet, without immigrant workers, much of this care simply wouldn't happen. Official figures show that a significant share of the UK's care workforce is foreign-born. If they all left, the sector, already stretched thin, would be pushed beyond breaking point. Care homes would close, waiting lists for in-home support would grow, and thousands of families would be forced to step in, juggling jobs with full-time caregiving responsibilities. It's not just about numbers, it's about relationships. Many carers build deep bonds with the people they look after, becoming trusted companions as well as support providers. Losing them isn't just a gap in a rota. It's a loss felt in the daily lives of those who depend on them most. Without immigrants in social services, the UK wouldn't just face a workforce crisis, it would face a compassion crisis. Number 10. International reputation and soft power. The UK's influence in the world isn't just built on military strength or economic power. It's also shaped by its image as an open, welcoming, and globally connected nation. This is what's known as soft power, the ability to attract and inspire rather than coerce. Immigrants are a living symbol of that openness. They connect Britain to other cultures, languages, and markets. They strengthen ties with countries around the world, often acting as informal ambassadors for British values and opportunities. Remove them, and that global network weakens. Diplomatically, the message would be clear. Britain has closed its doors. That perception could harm trade negotiations, reduce tourism, and make it harder to attract international talent in the future. It's not just about politics. Businesses often choose where to invest based partly on how inclusive and connected a country appears. The cultural export side would suffer too. The UK's music, film, fashion, and food scenes are enriched by immigrant talent, which helps keep Britain relevant and exciting on the world stage. Without that diversity, the nation risks appearing less dynamic and less influential. History shows that countries with strong soft power tend to have stronger economies, more diplomatic leverage, and greater cultural impact. By losing immigrants, the UK wouldn't just lose workers and neighbors. It would lose part of the very identity that has made it a respected and admired player in global affairs. We've just walked through 10 ways the UK would change if every immigrant left. But now, I want to hear your take. Which of these impacts do you think would hit first, and which would hit hardest? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single one. If you found this eye-opening, go check out my previous video for even more insights you won't hear anywhere else. We pour hours of research, writing, and editing into bringing you content that truly matters. So if you want to keep this going, support us with one simple click. Hit that subscribe button. It's free, it's instant, and it means the world to us.